Who should be the Big Ten Coach of the Year? It's been a hot race up until the final week of the regular season, and I feel like we've heard different names come in and out and emerge potentially as the correct guy. Even going back to the beginning of the season, like at the end of non-con, there were arguments that Brad Underwood was in the National Coach of the Year race. I think before Purdue's four-game losing streak, Matt Painter was heavily in the mix. Then you've got the four teams at the top of the standings right now. You've got Michigan State, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Maryland. There are arguments for all four of those coaches that they've done a good enough job to win Big Ten Coach of the Year. Tom
Mhm.
Izzo's team is going to win the conference. Dusty May's team is going to finish second. Greg Gard and Kevin Willard have both done pretty remarkable things this season, given how their offseason went and or what they were trying to build off of at the end of last season in Maryland's case. So let's start by this, Carlos. Define who you think the actual finalists should be here. If we were giving out the award for Big Ten Coach of the Year, we could do as many as one finalist and that's it. We could give out five, six finalists if we want to. Who's on the ballot for Big Ten Coach of the Year?
I would have five guys on there. In no order. It'd be Paint, Guard, Izzo, May, Willard.
Putting Paint in with the top group.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because I respect losing the back-to-back National Player of the Year, and I think it fell off a little bit. Like I thought he was up there, but that three straight or four straight Big Ten losses, whatever it was, I think puts a little damper into that. But I think him having as good as a year as they've had, even despite that little rough stretch they went on after losing Zach Edey, I think is credit to him.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, if you're taking that angle, I think it would be point to the 11-1 record in a 12 game stretch from end of December to middle of February. Like they
Mhm.
were truly stellar in those games. The difference for me, you know what? I would actually leave off Painter and Willard here. Um, I think there's three that are serious candidates that are each deserving of votes for the league. I think you could add Painter and Willard to the sheet, and if you did, I don't think there's a human being on earth who would vote Matt Painter to win Big Ten Coach of the Year. I don't think there's a human being on earth who would vote Kevin Willard to win Big Ten Coach of the Year. You can
Mhm.
add them to be nominees, but those guys don't have a case to me over Tom Izzo or Dusty May or Greg Gard.
Those guys have a chance, or right now have the same record in the Big Ten as Greg Gard does.
They do, but the reason Greg Gard makes my list is the circumstances of their off seasons.
Yeah, I, I
Um,
I agree with you for what it's worth. I'm pulling the what argument they're probably going to try to make if they want to throw those guys
yeah, I mean
on there.
let's just like coming in though, like Purdue was a preseason top 25 team that brought in the Big Ten Player of the Year.
Hmm.
Like I understand the point on losing Edie, but I don't think we can act like Purdue was not supposed to finish fifth in the league.
Right.
Like that's not an overachievement.
Hmm.
And if for sure, Painter deserved serious consideration for this before they lost four straight. Then they got to winning time of the season and lost four straight. To me, that
Right.
should probably disqualify you from winning Coach of the Year. As far as Maryland is concerned, I wouldn't hate if Kevin Willard is on the list, but to me, I just wouldn't give him the same edge that I give Greg Gard because I think that Greg Gard's team number one was picked a little bit worse than Maryland was. Maryland came in as like a top in the 30s nationally per the analytics services, and I think was in the mix from Big Ten preseason prognosticators, whereas Wisconsin was preseason 47th on KenPom. Wisconsin's also been analytically the best team in this conference, other than Michigan State, for the better part of the last month. Like there's still a gap between what Maryland has done and what Wisconsin has done, according to the metrics and how good this team has actually played, and not just their record. So you mix in the fact that his best two players got bought away from him. Nobody was paying for Julian Reese to leave, right? Greg Gard had to go to an empty cupboard basically and spits out John Tanji. It's insane to me. So to me, like if you want, you can disagree with that, but I don't think you're going to sit here and make the case that Willard deserves it, right?
Yeah, no, no. I mean, those are my five that I put on the list. I think there's three that I'm willing to listen to. Like, I think they should win.
Right, and that's Tom Izzo, Dusty May, and Greg Gard. So let's go through it. Out of those three, who do you think should finish third and not win Big Ten Coach of the Year? I have a clear one out of this group of three that should finish third.
Dusty?
I would put Dusty third.
See, this is such a hard thing for me because we talk to other people like you and I, we talk to people about the National Coach of the Year, right? And Pat Kelsey gets a lot of hype for that. And I agree that he should. But a lot of that is based on what he turned around the program from being. And even if this team in Michigan, I find myself making an argument for Dusty here. Uh, in his first year in the Big Ten, he's in a Big Ten title race after last year they lost like what 11 straight conference games and won 8 total games.
Yeah.
So like I do put him third, but at the same time I'm doing the argument for him why he should be, I don't know, second.
The story of Michigan's season has been pretty remarkable given where they came from. In most years, I think Dusty May would have a clear case to just be the runaway coach of the year. But I think the reality is what Michigan State has done and what Wisconsin has been for pretty much all season, those are pretty singularly special seasons too,
Mhm.
where I think you've got to just sort of hierarchy, stack rank what's impressive to you. This is why I would have Michigan and my head coach, Dusty May, third here. I look up and down this roster right now. Who's playing to their ceiling?
Probably just Vlad.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now, again, at points this season, guys
Cheddar.
played. At points this season, guys played better. But can you really watch this product on the floor that scored 49 points at Nebraska, gave up 60 points and a half to Illinois, gave up what 59 and a half to 57 and a half to Rutgers? Like I don't know what this team's doing right now, and it's remarkable that they're in the title race. But I can't imagine giving Coach of the Year to a coach that I feel like has no answers right now. Like Trey Donaldson's way worse than he was 2 months ago. Ronnie Gale's a disaster. Danny Wolf has not improved the way we wanted him to over the course of the season. Those are things that it was all on a tee for Dusty if he just gets them to continue an upward trajectory. That upward trajectory has fallen off a cliff, and I think that has to fall on Dusty a little bit that his team has not been able to find the answers.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And look, this is another case of like we talked about like where paint would have been if we would have took this vote a little while ago. Dusty was the favorite. Probably what before or at what point do you think he flipped from being the favorite?
I mean,
Or was it
in
always
the
either
last two
Carr or
weeks,
anybody else?
I think Dusty had a clear case to be the Big Ten Coach of the Year until they lost at home to Michigan State. And
Yeah,
now it's
probably.
it's been two really bad weeks since then.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah. So again, we'll see. He's in a normal year. I think he'd be the runaway coach of the year. And this year, I think there's two guys with better cases. So that leaves us with Greg Gard versus Tom Izzo. You and I may disagree on this, but I don't know. Tom Izzo just beat Greg Gard head to head. Who do you think deserves Big Ten Coach of the Year?
I think Tom Izzo does.
Make the
I think
case.
Tom I think Tom Izzo does because now I'm assuming that Tom Izzo ends this year as the outright Big Ten champion too, as well. I think there's an assumption there. But I don't think you can make a case against him doing what he's done this year. Obviously, Greg Gard has a great year at Wisconsin, but also lost to Michigan State. Michigan State beats all the best teams in this conference throughout the season and wins it outright by themselves. I just don't see how you make an argument against that Izzo not being the best coach in the conference.
Fair argument. It's a totally fair argument. Can I attempt to make the case? Because Greg Gard would be my vote for Coach of the Year.
Please.
Tom Izzo's team is going to win the championship.
Hmm.
Tom Izzo has had a more successful season than Greg Gard. Tom Izzo has had a masterpiece of a year. If he wins this award, I will not even blink. I think he deserves it. I think there are two guys who very clearly both deserve the award this year. Here is why, ultimately, if I had a vote, I would vote for Greg Gard and not Tom Izzo for this award. I can't get over how much they stumbled into this Jace Richardson. I just can't get over it. And they're going to win the Big Ten. It didn't even hurt them. But I can't sit here and watch the version of Michigan State that is so clearly way better than the old version and give coach of the year to a guy who didn't immediately prioritize that. I mean, this team started Frankie Fiddler for a month. This team then went from Frankie Fiddler to other guards, while Jace still played 21 or less minutes almost every single night for 3 months. I don't think that helped Jace's, like, people that try to make the argument that's why Jace looks good right now. No, Jace looks exactly like he did in November, and the staff didn't prioritize it until they needed to beat the best teams on the schedule. Um, Maybe that's hate from me. I don't know, but like I look back that stretch where they played poorly, Cart. You lost at USC. Jace Richardson had 0 fouls, played 20 minutes. Trey Holloman, Jaden Akins, and Jeremy Fears all played more than him. The next night you lost to UCLA. Jace Richardson had 0 fouls. He played 16 minutes. Played Akins.
He got hurt in those games.
He was banged up, sure. Sure. But he was playing. I mean, if he was that hurt, he missed games when he was truly, really out, right?
Okay, keep going.
I'm just saying. Like you go through all these games until Jace Richardson became the leading guy on this team. We did not see this team play to its ceiling. Now we're playing there, but it's a thing that I called out correctly in November, I think, and everyone killed me for it. They should have been treating Jace Richardson like a star all along. Imagine if Wisconsin just benched John Tonji for 2 months. They wouldn't be where they're at. Like, Greg Gard came into the season knowing his star is a star and treating him like it. He's optimized this from start to finish. And given what happened to Wisconsin this offseason, it's why I believe he deserves Coach of the Year.
Even if they finish third in the Big Ten?
Yeah. I don't think Coach of the Year should just go to the coach that wins the league. I think it should go to the coach that did the best job. And Tom Izzo did an A+ job. So did Greg Gard. Like you are picking between two guys who are 100% worthy, but one of them has to get your vote.
Okay. Look, I think Greg Gard's done a great job. I'm not going to push back too much on it. I don't know, just it working out the way it's worked out, even though we disagree with it, feels like a bad reason to not give him Coach of the Year. Because if it wasn't working and we were losing like hella games, then I'm with you, because like we should have been doing that. But it was working, and then it stopped working, and we fixed it.
Yeah, it's about the best version of your team. Are you doing what's best for your team or not? And you're right, they won all the games, so we can't say that wasn't the best version, but it pretty obviously wasn't. And I was trying to say it at the time. With the reason we believe in this team's March ceiling is because they now did it. So, I mean, it's an award for the whole season. They spent 80% of their season not playing through their best player. And the team's great, but that would just be crazy to me if that they're going to win the championship, that's his reward to me. But again, I think Gard starting in November had his team playing with personnel that were the best players on the team to optimize their results.
Oh, that's fair.
But if Izzo wins it, I'm not going to say he's not deserving because shit, he beat Gard head to head. So I see both points.
Should be one of them though.
If it's anybody else, I'll be pretty annoyed.
Yeah.
Even if it's Dusty over one of these two, I would feel strongly that they got it wrong.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.